This video comes at the request of a few of my subscribers. You know who you are. You wanted to see the latest expansion from Native Instruments set up and used in Cubase. So the last one I showed was Rare Vibrations, and it's just a really great expansion. I love it. And people are going, what about using it in Cubase? Because I did show how to use it in Ableton, but also in Battery. But what if you don't have Ableton or Battery? So what I'm going to do here is walk you through using it with Groove Agent SE5. This comes with every version of Cubase, so right down to the bottom. And the truth is, this instrument is very powerful and does some things that make machine users even drool. So I'm going to walk you through some stuff with that, play around with some of the sounds, and show you how you can use an expansion inside Groove Agent SE5. But not only that, it could be any samples in Groove Agent. So this doesn't just apply to machine expansions. If you like the sounds in this one, go pick it up. I do have an affiliate link in the description, but to me, it's way more important that you're getting stuff that is valuable to you. So listen to the sounds I'm using. If you think they're gonna work for your style of music, pick it up. If not, just grab any samples and try loading them in Groove Agent, and you're just gonna be blown away by what you can do. And by the way, this isn't going to be a super intense Groove Agent video. I did find a great channel that goes over Groove Agent and gives you like this crazy video manual that's probably a couple hours long. And it's one man and his song. So I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description because this guy is fantastic. His channel is so good, so deep into Cubase, Groove Agent, Omnisphere, highly worth going over to his channel, watching the videos there, getting way deep into this software, and giving him a subscribe as well. So every expansion that you get from Native Instruments, when you install it, you're going to get a folder with all of the samples in it. You'll also have patches for things like Massive and Monarch, but the big thing everyone loves is the kits and the loops. And those are all things you're going to have full access to. The thing you're not going to have access to is any effects that were saved on a kit. So if you had a kick drum and a snare drum, in Maschine, you would have things like maybe some reverb or some lo-fi effect or something like that on a sound, giving it more character. So you're going to be pulling in just the raw samples, and then I'll show you in Groove Agent how you can go and add your own effects to it if you want. Once you get it installed, you're going to go over to your browser. I'm just going to go to the browser inside Groove Agent SE here. And so you're going to go to your shared folder most likely, and there you're going to find all of your libraries. And so you can see that I've got the Rare Vibrations library installed right there. And in that folder, we can see things like groups, project samples, and sounds. We're not going to worry about the groups because those are in a machine format that we can't use. We're also not going to worry about the projects, and we are going to worry about the samples. The sounds also are going to be mostly useless to us, except for the Massive sounds, the Monarch sounds, and the Battery kits. That's where if you have Battery, you can just load up these drum kits right inside Battery. And then they do have things like polysynth, where we don't have polysynth. That's a machine synth only. Same with the bass synth and the drum synth. In terms of Groove Agent, though, none of these are going to be useful for us. So we'll go back to the only folder we really care about, which is the samples folder. So we can go through all the different claps and cymbals and stuff like that. So we could make our own drum kits. I could go to kick and just drag a kick right onto Groove Agent. And when you're dropping the first sample, it really doesn't matter where you're dropping it. You'll see these different icons that pop up. If I drop it on the top or the bottom, doesn't matter. If I drop it in the middle, also doesn't matter. It's going to give me my kick. Now, just a quick word on that. If you do have two different sounds, there's my new sound. I can grab this one and drag it right into the middle, and it's going to swap them. So it's a cool way to change where your samples are. And then the other thing you could do is drag a whole bunch of samples onto one pad at once. So I could go like this, and if I go like this and drop it at the bottom, you'll see all those other pads kind of light up. That just means that they're all going to get one of these samples spread out on it, kind of spills it out on the rest of them. If I go to the top here, it's going to put all of those samples onto this one pad, which means you can have multi-sampled or round robin even on one pad. So you hear as I'm playing through, I'm triggering different samples from these ones right here. Incredible stuff that you can just do so easily in Groove Agent. But the thing about, sorry, I got my dog in here. The thing about these expansions that everybody loves is the kits. So if you really want to get the Maschine kit experience, what you can do is go pick up a piece of software called Kit Maker. So I'll have a link to that in the description as well. And these guys make this really simple little piece of software. It's not super expensive. And all you have to do is drag your Maschine library folder onto this little icon and then convert it into numbered files, because they don't have a Groove Agent file format for this here. It's going to take your Rare Vibrations expansion kits and turn them all into nice little organized folders of samples. Sometimes there might be a synthesizer patch on one of the pads in Maschine that just doesn't work in this kit, so you might have some empty pads. Just be aware of that. Here you can see my Kit Maker kits, my Rare Vibrations library, and you can see the kits that they just created for me. So I can go to any one of these. These are all of the different groups or kits that come with the expansion for Maschine. So if I go over to, let's try Serata. There we can see numbered files from the bottom all the way up to pad 16, and they're going to be in the same order roughly that they would have been found in Maschine. Go Command A or Control A on a PC, click and drag, and make sure I choose the bottom one, and it's going to spill them all out onto the pads. There we go. So these are all samples from this one kit called the Serata Kick. So let's just play something in. Okay, that sounds good. We're going to do something to this kit just to show you how we can change it up. But before we even get there, let's try some of the other different kits out. So let's grab this one and see what it sounds like. And let's try another one. Stargazer. And let's try a street lamp. And you can see I just drag right on top and get rid of the other one. Just keep going. Let's go with this one for now, and I'll show you what we can do with some of these samples. So there's our kicks, snare. Got some piano stuff, a shaker, loop. Oh, I like this a lot. Okay, so this already is getting me kind of excited. We're gonna ditch that beat altogether. So the kit that we're using is called Summer. One thing I should probably figure out is what was this tempo at to begin with? Click on this sample here. You can see it playing through. If I hit this A button, we can see the whole sample. There we go. Another button that I like to have turned on is to have this little MIDI follow turned on so that as you play through, you're going to select the sample up top in Groove Agent there. And I need to go through and make this kit a little bit more unified. I'm going to take these kicks, and I want them both to be EQ'd a little bit. A concept to get your head around early on here is the idea of buses. And a bus is a way to take a whole bunch of inputs or tracks or information and take them all through to one place. And we have a ton of buses here in Groove Agent SE. You have to be on Edit and Main in order to see this, and you also have to be on the Instrument tab. So I Command click or Control click on a PC, and I select both of those, and I'm going to go over to where it says Kit Mix, and I'm going to change that to Agent Bus 1. And they're calling this thing that we're doing here, they're calling this a beat agent, because there's actually a beat agent and a percussion agent and acoustic agent, and these are different ways of using this whole Groove Agent interface. We're only going to worry about the beat agent one here. But regardless, I click on Bus 1. So now both of these sounds are going out of a mix bus that we can process together. So if I click on the mixer now, you're going to see If I kick both of those, they show up on bus 1. If I play anything else, you're not going to see it because it's just going through the master. So the coolest part about this is that now I can click this drop down and I can put some EQ on there. So let's go to Studio EQ and beef this up. So we're going to get both bass drums sounding a little bassier. Maybe something like that. Let's call this one kicks, by the way. You can see that we have 4 buses here, but we have 4 times 4 buses. We have 16 possible buses. Let's go to the closed hi-hat and this ride for a second, because I want them to work kind of more like a closed hi-hat and an open hi-hat. So I'm going to go back over to the edit page, click on my hi-hat, and then I'm also going to command click on the ride right there. And we're going to put both of those into agent. And you see how it already names it for us too in this little drop-down, which is brilliant. I go to bus 2. Now I go to the mixer, and on bus 2, I'm going to pan it a little bit to the right. So now both those samples are coming out of the right speaker a little bit more. And we'll just call that hats. And then here, if I wanted to, like we can do in Maschine, we could put individual effects on any one of these little pads just by routing it through a bus and then putting effects on that bus. And you can have 16. So you could effectively have 16 different sets of effects, or a totally different set of effects on each one of your samples from this kit, which is exactly the way we do things in Maschine. It's just laid out a little bit differently. Once you're done messing around with the summer kit, save it as a kit. Now you load it up later on in Groove Agent and you get all of your effects, all your buses and all of that kind of good stuff. Okay, so I'm on my hats. Let's put a reverb on those, just those ones. So I'm just going to go to the regular reverb, and we're going to keep the pre-delay low. Let's take the mix up a little bit higher. Let's take the mix lower, actually. And this sample itself is just too loud in comparison. So I just got to click on it and turn it down a bit here. What if I wanted these two sounds to cut each other off? I could click on that one, and I could command click on the next one, and then I can go over to where it says exclusive. So what that means is we can have an exclusive group that will only allow one sound to be heard at any one point. We're going to see we want that on the piano stuff too in a second, but I'm going to put that on hi-hats. That's the most obvious use of it. And in Maschine, we have something called choke groups, and this is the exact same thing. So here, the ride cymbal now gets cut off as soon as I play the hi-hat. You click this little E button, you'll see the exclusive kits. And right now, this is the only one we have. We're going to want to do this also with the piano. So let's go have a look at those ones. Here they're kind of blurring together right now. That's not what I want at all. I want these ones to just, when one's playing, and when I hit the next one, I want the other one to cut off. So I click on all 3 of them and go, let's go to an exclusive or choke group number 2. So now, sounded cool, right? So all stuff that is so easy and so accessible right here in Groove Agent. Okay, if I want this one, you can see it's got this tail, this nice clean chord. I could put that one up here because this one's empty right now. So let's go back to this one. I'm going to hold Option and drag this one right onto this empty pad here. And there we go. Now we've got it on both. But on this one, I can take my start time. I can just drag it to right there. So right now my tempo is wrong, so we need to figure out what the tempo of all of these samples were set at. So I'm going to click on this little shaker right here. I'm going to show you one of my favorite features of working with Groove Agent is the fact that I can go over to this sample area right here, and I'm going to turn this button called Audio Warp mode. I'm going to turn that on. This audio warp is the way of stretching audio out or compressing it without actually changing the pitch. So we're going to turn the sync on, and we're going to say we want it to go to the tempo. And it says the original BPM of this was 160 beats per minute, so probably 80, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to set this to 80, and we can hear it's going a little faster now. And that's because my tempo is set to 95. So let's go to 80 and see what happens now when we play that sample. So that also means probably it's working perfectly. So if I want this in a totally different key or a different speed, there's ways we can deal with that. And by the way, I should go to the shaker and change the playback. And we're going to change this to no loop. If you have it on one-shot mode, it's just as soon as you hit it, it's going to play the whole thing, which is kind of annoying for our shaker. So what I'm going to do for the shaker now is just make it so you have to hold it down as soon as you let it go. Let's start with the piano stuff. And I want this one just to trigger as soon as I hit it, as opposed to holding it down like I just did with this shaker. So again, if I click on that one, go over to sample and choose the mode, one shot just means it's just going to play it. Play my piano stuff in. I think we're ready to go. Okay, so let's put that beat in there. Let's just take all of these ones, put them in bus. We're going to go agent, and we're going to call that bus 3. And then we're going to go over to the mixer, and we're going to call that piano. All right, now in this one, I can go and start doing some mixing. This is just going to be all those piano samples all at once. And while I'm at it, I might as well show you what auxiliary effects sound like. So if you click on the aux tab, here we can click the drop down for a reverb and a delay, and we can use it as an auxiliary send effect where it's just an effect you make once, and then you choose, everything else can choose to send a portion of its sound to that effect. So you only have to make one reverb, one delay, but then for all of your pads here, you can go and say, I want this one to have lots of that reverb, and this one to have none of that reverb. So set up a reverb, whatever you want. Let's just leave it on a hall. Set the mix, make sure the mix is at 100%. And then we're also going to put on a delay here on the second auxiliary send. And right now it's set to stereo. Let's set it to ping pong. That's kind of fun. And now when I go to the mixer, down here on the piano bus, you'll see that there's S1, 2, 3, and 4. And I can say, all right, for all of those piano samples, let's put some reverb on. More reverb, less reverb. Delay. All of a sudden, things got even cooler. We could do the same thing on the snares or on the hats. I could put some delay on there just by turning this up. Now it's putting those hats through that delay. Right? That's how these send effects work. So you have to go on the aux tab, set them up, then go back to your buses, and then choose how much you want each bus to have on it. And then the other thing you could do, of course, is put a master effect on it. So on this master bus here, I click on that, and I go to dynamics, and one thing I'd recommend you put on there is something like a maximizer. So you put a maximizer on, and now nothing's going to go past the 0 dB level, so you're not going to start clipping. So all I need to do for the shaker is just play the note. So I could even just draw that in. This is G right here. Just hold down the Option key or the Alt key on a PC. Now we better start with this crazy sound effect, kind of like that. Let's turn it way down in level though. But maybe I want that thing to be toned down in length a little bit. So all I can do is go over to the edit here. I'm going to take the sample and put it right here, and then grab this little white thing and just make it fade out. So it's going to go like this. Maybe a little short. Maybe something like that. Perfect. Okay, now we've got our sound effect starting it. Let's start with a new Groove Agent track, and all we're gonna do on this one is look for a bass sound, rare vibrations, and samples. And here I'm gonna go to one-shots, and a one-shot is just one note that's been recorded for some purpose in this expansion. So you're gonna find a ton of interesting sounds in here for sure. We're just gonna go look for a bass. I like that bass, really clean. Let's go with that one. I'm gonna load that up, drag it on, and it says it's a C already. Right now it's only loaded on one pad, so if I want that to play on all of the key range, all I have to do is click on the pitch tab up top here and turn on key range. And then we also need to choose the low key and the high key, so we're going to take this down to C0, and then we'll take the high key up to, I don't know, whatever, and you can see it filling out this instrument. Now we have a bass patch. But of course right now we can hear it's kind of blending over. That's not sounding good. So if we go back to the main and we turn on poly, we set it to 1, now it's only letting us play one note at a time. And I also don't want this to be one note, I just want it to be play when I hold it down. So I'm gonna click on sample and turn it on to no loop. Now it's just gonna play and stop as soon as I release the key. And then the last thing I should show you is how to take a loop and slice this up. So I'm gonna go to Groove Agent one more time, and we'll make a new one. And on this one, we're just gonna look for loops. So I'm gonna go over to my Rare Vibrations library, and I'm gonna go to Loops, and we're gonna go to Percussion, and here you can see a bunch of percussion loops that are included. Oh, that's really cool. But it's a lot faster than our song, but that's okay. So you kind of have two choices when you do this, because traditionally what we could do is take a 95 beats per minute loop and slice it up, and then now we just put little gaps in between those slices to make it fit with the tempo. So that would sound kind of like this. Let's go to Slice, and we're gonna go Create Slices, and you can see automatically it chooses where it thinks you want the slices to be. And then it maps them out. And it's even gonna make a pattern for you. This is so cool. So if I click on the pattern tab right here, watch this. I just click that. Here it's kind of a little bit gappy. I mean, if this was right and you liked it, all you have to do is drag this onto your track and you're done. Here it is. Right? There's too many gaps in that. I will start from scratch here. I'm gonna drag this in. We're gonna click on the sample tab, and there we're gonna turn that audio warp on. Let's set it to solo again, and we're gonna turn the sync on to tempo. Okay, so our original tempo was 95 beats per minute. Our tempo is 80 beats per minute. Let's see how this is sounding. This now is playing at our tempo. It's time stretched it, keeps it at the same pitch, which is perfect, and then we can actually go in and slice this if we want. So I'm gonna go Create Slices, just gonna drag this pattern onto my track. So now let's have a listen to this. Check out what we can do. We can actually go and change the swing to 16ths straight and quantize it. So now it's gonna be perfect. So there's no swing. Now I can go in and quantize this to have the same swing that's in my project. So, which is actually pretty similar to the original, but it sounds perfect. hopefully that gives you some inspiration on what you can do with Groove Agent. It really is an extremely powerful tool, and it comes with every version of Cubase. And make sure you go subscribe to One Man and His Songs. I'll put his page in the description. Go subscribe to his channel, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.